Hi, I want to first thank everyone to coming to this tonight. I'm going to actually explain a little bit about Native American history too, before we jump into the medicine wheel and the 4 sacred medicines. A lot of Native Americans, tribes, we work with the ancestors. And throughout the history of the Great Americas, there's been a lot of genocide, a lot of pain. With that being said, you have to also understand when you do work with the ancestors, you have to be careful and not to offend them. With that, I always make sure I do my offerings correctly. That means when I buy all my native stuff that I do use, I buy it from a local native. I don't buy it from a big commercial place because the money isn't going to a native tribe and could possibly anger the ancestors if I do it that way. So it wasn't until 1924 Native Americans did not become US citizens until then. It wasn't until 1978 we wasn't allowed to practice our religion, cultures, and our different ceremonies. There's some things I can't talk about because they are closed and I can't teach unless you are initiated in. Because of my great-grandfather being a tribe shaman for the Onondagas, I am able to learn different medicines and different techniques because things have been passed down to me because of that. With that being said, when it comes to smudging, I can talk about it, but I can't demonstrate it for you guys because of that. But we're going to actually start with the 4 sacred medicines, and then we're going to move into the spirits. So the 4 sacred medicines is, on the medicine wheel, is north is air, cedar, it represents winter, spiritual health. Now moving towards the east, the yellow part of the wheel is fire, tobacco, spring, mental health. The south is red, represents earth, sweetgrass in summer and physical health. And the west represents winter, sage, and autumn, and emotional health. And the difference between blue sage and white sage is very simple. I have it right here. This is typically what white sage would look like if you get it, because I get a bundle, I take it apart. Blue sage is a little bit darker. Now with white sage, you want to make sure you're getting it from a Native American shop or place that gets it from a tribe, because white sage is going to be soon an endangered plant because it's not being harvested correctly. So we're trying to get the education of, hey, buy from us, because it's a simple fact when they're going through and actually harvesting it onto different lands, that does ripping the whole plant out and actually not harvesting it correctly. So it's a big issue nowadays. Now moving on to cedar. Cedar is another one. Cedar comes in a bundle like this. Now sweetgrass is a little bit different. Sweetgrass is actually braided. And the braid actually represents the hair of our mother, the earth. And with it, I cut it off and I burn it for my ceremonies, I do. Now when I do a lot of different ceremonies with my 4 sacred medicines, I don't have tobacco right now because I'm out. I haven't been able to get it because of the pandemic, but I use tobacco oil in replace of that. But there's different types of feathers you can actually use in different styles to actually smudge with or smoke cleanse. This is one of them I have. This is a smaller one. And then when it comes to a more bigger one is this one. Now each fan is custom made for a different part of the different ceremonies I do. We do smudge for births and deaths, and we do smudge during different ceremonies and practices we do. Now with the 4 sacred medicines, that also helps us create different medicines that we use in our medicine bags. Medicine bags are typically done by shamans and medicine bags. Medicine men have them, and they consist of the 4 sacred medicines, it can consist of different herbs, it can consist of different amulets and spirit guides too. And typically when you see a shaman smudge, you'll see them use a shell. This is a Amazonian shell, and this comes from the Pacific side of the United States. I did receive it as a gift from a very close good friend of mine, and that's what I use to hold my inders and stuff in. Now, going to the reason why you want to actually go into different medicine wheel, it also tells you what time of year you're supposed to work your different medicines too. Let's see. Now going to the medicine wheel. Right now we're in summer, so it will actually be sweetgrass I will typically use. And then when we hit into more of a fall, it's more of a white sage or a sage, because I also have Apache. I use more white sage than I do any other sage in my different ceremonies. So it just depends on the season of what predominantly I use in my different ceremonies. Now, when it comes to different medicine bags can also come with ceremonial purposes with a passing of a loved one as well. If a tribe has limited space in land, they typically will do a cremation for a loved one and actually make different medicine bags for them and give it to the firstborn child to receive it. So now we are going to go to the spirits. So in Native American culture, there's many different versions of the Great Spirit or the Creator. The Great Spirit or the Creator can be represented as an eagle or a hawk, depends on the tribe. When I see a hawk or eagle, I do bless myself and I bless things that are positive and good in my life, and I give the respect to him. Now, our Mother Earth is sacred to us, and when I do a lot of working with her, that's where the sweetgrass comes in, because that represents the mother hair. Very young age, I was taught to teach and to learn to respect the earth and only take what I need and never to damage it, always leave it as more of imbalance. Now going to the Grandmother Moon. Grandmother Moon is something very sacred. It's wisdom to us. It's also represents to a woman as called her moon time, when she has her time of the month. And that's when a actual woman will not be allowed to do ceremonial practices or go to powwows or any spiritual practices or do any more heavy duty work in the house. It's more of a time to renew the body for the woman. Now, we also have the other parts of the spirits is going into the spirit guides and the spirit animals. Now, the spirit animal is different for each person. If you're in a line of Native American descent, you will have a dream of you being an animal. If this dream does not occur by age 10, typically they take the child to a shaman or a medicine man and they do a sweat lodge ceremony to see which animal the child is supposed to be. And that segues into more of spirit guides and totem poles. With the different animals that will appear in our culture, it's to guide us into different paths in different areas that we need to broaden our horizon. And with the different animals that do appear, you can have a bear, or an eagle, or you can have a blue jay or a bluebird appear. Each one represents something different in the spirit realm. Totem poles are typically not used to tell stories. It's typically, it's more for a family set of different animals and stuff. It's more for a thunderbird if you're part of a clan for that one. You can have a frog, raven, or salmon appear. It just depends on which one is more connected to your family and what's going to pop up to teach you a lesson that you need to learn. And there's also different spirits too in Native American culture. Now, the one I'm going to say the name once. I'm not going to say it again because you're not really supposed to be saying this name. It's called a skinwalker. I refer to SW. SWs are more of a dark shaman, more of the left-hand path in Native American culture. They are based in Navajo tradition. If you are in that area or know a person from that area, they will tell you, if someone tells you not to go into an area where one is, it's better safe not to go into that area because they can also shift with those. And those are more of a evil practitioners, to say. Now going on to the Wendigo is not like a werewolf. It's more of a northern Native American spirit. The Wendigo is more of a cannibal. It represents the story of people eating people and how it can consume you. The next one we're going to talk about is the deer woman. The deer woman is very beautiful. She's very more of a pleasant spirit, but if you are a promiscuous man, she does lure you away to kill you. But she can represent femininity and prosperous in that area too. So it's a dual world spirit. And that all connects to the belief of being respectful to different spirits. If you always are by yourself in the woods and you hear someone say your name and you know you're not supposed to be there, get up, walk away, and don't look back. Because whatever is possibly there, if you turn around, it will petrify you in fear. And that's how you can get eaten in most Native American cultures.
I have a question.
Yes.
As someone who's been practicing this from your childhood, are you concerned at all when people who didn't grow up in that culture consider, how do I find my spirit animal? Are you concerned that it's not being respected or used, and are you hesitant to share?
Most Native tribes are hesitant to share because of what has happened with the genocide and the mistreatment and how we were actually punished for our beliefs and doing our ceremonies until 1978. But if someone who's actually generally interested in it and actually is going to put the time and the work into it, we don't have a problem.